Hello there, this is BBC Newsline. The headlines this Monday. Racist attacks in Belfast and County Down. In Belfast, the victim of an attack says she intends to stay in her home despite what's happened.
There was 2 other houses that's been smashed as well, and there were graffiti on my walls saying locals only, and they had the sign on my door and my car to say I'm a target.
Meanwhile, in Donaghadee, a mother and her 3 children have fled after they were targeted. Also on the programme, hundreds of pupils finally stepped through the doors of Lurgan's brand new £58 million St Ronan's College. Will go inside.
Amazing, I'm just trying to get everything in, exploring it with Mrs. Brock was just amazing. Seeing some of the rooms was amazing.
I think it is just amazing, it is massive, and all the teachers are lovely.
A dementia conference at Queen's is told Northern Ireland needs sustainable services as our population continues to age. As meteorological autumn arrives, so too does the list of storm names, with Dracula author Bram Stoker numbering among them.
Ireland's women make it through to the quarter-finals of the Rugby World Cup. We'll have all the reaction and I'll bring you the rest of the weekend sport.
And it's been a mixed day of sunny spells and some heavy showers. Will it stay that way for tomorrow and the rest of the week? I'll have your full forecast shortly.
Hello, I'm Declan Harvey. The victim of a racist attack in North Belfast has said she will not be intimidated out of her home and she intends to stay there with her 2 children. That is despite the window of their living room being smashed on Thursday night. And in fact, theirs is one of a number of homes targeted in this part of the city. Let me show you. We're talking about the Lower Old Park area between the Crumlin and Cliftonville roads. Now, over the weekend, properties were attacked in Manor Street and the Summerhill Court area. But earlier in the summer, there were sectarian attacks just around the corner. Homes of Catholic families were attacked in Alloa Street and Annalise Street. That was back in May. Well, the local victims campaigner Raymond McCord says he brokered a deal at the time to prevent victims having to flee their homes straight away. And he's now revealed that that deal has broken down. Our reporter Kevin Sharkey has been to the area.
The people who attacked these homes had a message. They do not want people from elsewhere in their area. On the other side of the street, a sign of more damage outside a family home. And inside, a young family from a Nigerian background.
I was literally looking around the area. I realized there was 2 other houses that's been smashed as well, and there were graffiti on my walls saying locals only, and they had the sign on my door and my car to say I'm a target.
So how long have you been living here?
Since March of 2025, and this is actually my second attack. My first attack happened on the 3rd of July, which was my back window. My back window was smashed.
Questions are now focused on who or what organisation, if any, may have been responsible for these attacks.
I have no idea who is responsible, and it doesn't change my view of what occurred. It is wrong and it is actually damaging to this community.
Do you think night paramilitaries have been involved from your local knowledge?
As I say, I'm not able to comment on who has carried out these attacks. I'm working with the local community group, also with statutory agencies. I appeal for calm and for no further incidents.
Last week's racially motivated attacks here on homes along Manor Street and at Summerhill Court come just months after sectarian attacks on homes on Alloa Street and a new development at Annalise Street just around the corner. The victims campaigner Raymond McCord claims he brokered a deal to prevent the victims having to flee their homes immediately after the sectarian attacks in May in and around this new development. But he says that deal subsequently broke down.
The deal was brokered that the families' homes wouldn't be attacked. They were being threatened to be petrol bombed and pipe bombed. They wouldn't be attacked in any way whatsoever. And once they left it and their furniture was there, nothing would happen at all till it got rehoused. I think the deal was done on a Monday. And on Friday I got a phone call from the guy I was using for intermediary to pass it on, saying, I was told to ring you, the deal's off. and the families have to get out now.
Following the recent racist attacks in this area, the Justice Minister says action is planned to tackle hate crime.
I will be bringing forward in the autumn a sentencing bill which will include hate crime provisions, and I will be bringing forward a victim and witnesses bill next spring which will include special provisions for those who are victims of hate crime. But this is not something that a single person or a single minister can either be held fully responsible for or be expected to resolve. This is a societal issue.
But while the wider community waits for action from Stormont, one of the victims of the latest attacks is planning her own action to reach out to the local community. So you're determined to stay here despite the fact your home was attacked?
Yeah, I'm determined.
The window was broken, it's boarded up now, you're staying where you are?
I'm determined to stay here. I'm going to try and reach out. We could come together and do like a street festival where we'd bring our food out, we'll bring our African games, our African food, get other families to participate as well, and just kind of like get to know everybody and realize that we're not the enemy, we're not bad. At the end of the day, we are all human beings, and if you cut me or if you cut yourself, it's only red blood. So we're all the same, irrespective of colour.
CFA ending that report by Kevin Sharkey. Now, this evening, we heard from police that they are investigating another racist attack. I think we can bring you some pictures. Police say that 6 vehicles have been destroyed in an arson attack in the Lisnevina Road area of Ballymena. It happened around 10 o'clock last night, and they are appealing for witnesses. And then there's this, graffiti on a garden wall also being considered a racially motivated attack. This was in Donaghadee over the weekend. Neighbours of a young mother and her 3 children who were forced from their home say they're in shock. Cormac Campbell reports.
Boarded up windows, broken glass and graffiti. Last night, just before 10 p.m, this house on the Kalahi Road was attacked. Its residents, believed to be a Latvian mother and her 3 children, are understood to have left the area. Police say they're treating the attack as a racially motivated hate crime. For neighbours, it's come as a shock.
I heard the noise of the window being broken and I thought it was thunder or lightning or something like that. But after that, I keep my blinds closed once it gets dark in the evening, you know. We've never had that sort of trouble at any time, in any way. As I say, I've lived here for 60 years and I've never had any trouble, you know. I didn't know them other than to speak to, what they were or whatever, a girl and 3 children. But I mean, the children could have been very badly hurt by what they did, you know.
In town, the local Community Development Association says there's a small migrant population here.
The lady was so traumatised and shocked, she got in her car and with her 3 children and left the scene within 25 minutes, and they don't think she'll ever be seen in Donaghadee again. She was in such bad shape. People are horrified that this sort of thing can happen in such a scenic, beautiful town.
It's slightly below the Northern Ireland average, but there's still 150 people in Donaghadee who come from outside the British Isles. These people are contributing to our community and we want them to feel safe and secure.
This local councillor says work will now take place to prevent future incidents.
I would like to think we can make it not happen again, nip it in the bud. It's happened, we are ashamed, we're disappointed, it's embarrassing. And it's not Donaghadee, and I don't want to hear opening my newspaper in the morning or listening to the news of another attack.
Police say they're keen to speak to anyone who may have seen someone dressed in dark clothing and riding an electric scooter in the area at the time. Cormac Campbell, BBC Newsline, Donaghadee.
The Taoiseach Simon Harris has described threats against his family as cowardice. Gardaí have confirmed they are investigating a message put on social media yesterday morning. In a statement, Mr Harris said what was written was unacceptable and said threatening children was despicable. The Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, has also condemned the threats, describing them as abhorrent. Now, it's been a long wait, more than a decade in fact, but today hundreds of pupils finally stepped through the doors of Lurgan's brand new £58 million St Ronan's College. The school was created out of 3 former local schools and combined, it's now the 2nd largest in Northern Ireland, filled with state-of-the-art technology and no doubt smelling of fresh paint. We sent our education correspondent Robbie Meredith to have a look around the shiny new hallways.
A school lesson on the north coast without even leaving the classroom. That's what's possible for pupils in the immersion video room in the new campus at St Ronan's College in Lurgan. Elsewhere, a state-of-the-art sensory room is part of a pastoral and nurture area for young people, while the reading room is named after a local literary legend who influenced W.B. Yeats.
We've worked really, really hard in naming the places for the town as a nod to the heritage and the history of Lurgan, and so that our children, when they come in through the door, and our young people, they'll know exactly who they are, where they come from, where they came from, and hopefully where they're going with high aspirations.
St Ronan's College is one of Northern Ireland's biggest, with around 1,800 pupils. For many, today was a first look at a school built for their future. And the verdict?
Amazing, like I'm just trying to get everything in, like exploring it with Mrs. Brock was just amazing. Like seeing some of the rooms was amazing.
I think it is just amazing, it is massive, and all the teachers are lovely.
Though for the new Year 8s, finding their way round their huge new school has been a bit of a challenge.
I know, like 2 stories up, 1 story down, like it's like trying to find a way through a maze.
I'm really excited to start this new big school and see all the new classes and all the new everything.
St Ronan's College was created from the merger of 3 local schools back in 2015, so they've been waiting a decade for this impressive new building. And after those years of waiting, the school finally has its own sports pitches too.
We won the McCrory Cup years ago with no playing fields of our own, and our teams have brought in title after title, really down to the community, sharing their resources and particularly our GAA clubs, but to have our own facilities on site. And now we're hoping that with our community use of schools, we'll be able to pay the community back.
So the school for the future should mean everyone in the area is a winner. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline.
We've seen dementia rates rise as more of us live longer. In fact, campaign groups say across the UK, the number of people living with it will double in the next 15 years. How to deal with increasing demand on services was a central point of debate at a dementia conference in Belfast today. The focus was on creating a sustainable level of care for those who need it. And one of them is Mick Turner. Mick is from Coleraine. He was diagnosed 3 years ago. He relies on his wife, Christine, to be his carer. Bernie Allen has been finding out more about their experience.
Might go in there.
Life-changing, but not life-ending.
I think that's a nice bit for the circle.
Oh, well done. Good.
Mick Turner was diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago, and his wife, Christine, is his carer.
It's probably not the end of the world. You can still have a interest in a meaningful life, even if you can't remember quite what you're doing.
Doctors had said to us to keep active physically, mentally and socially. And this is what we try to do. We go to a leisure centre in Limavady and Mick goes swimming and I go into the gym. We do a little bit in the garden, but we're not great gardeners. And so we're actually quite busy.
Mick and Christina both attended a special dementia conference at Queen's University today, where those present heard how the disease affects every aspect of a person's life, from being able to communicate effectively to financial stability.
We're going to be at a situation where we have an older population rather than having a younger generation. And I think that is something to be wary of. But I do think, we have a lot of people being diagnosed younger, so it isn't just older people anymore. This is affecting everybody, and it's a society issue that we all need to be aware of.
For the first time, medical professionals from the Republic of Ireland were in attendance, with the hope that there may be more cross-border dialogue on the issue going forward in the future.
Our health and well-being is so important to our brains, and that is the fundamental message to people that are not diagnosed, and that is why I do what I do. It's a joy, it's a pleasure, it gives me a sense of purpose every single day. We're normal people. I do not suffer one bit from having the illness, but I struggle every day.
Experts say whilst there is no cure for dementia, it is possible to live well for many years following a diagnosis, and that it's important to stay healthy, positive and independent. Bernie Allen, BBC Newsline, Belfast.
It's the first day of meteorological autumn, but also the first day of the storm season. And so the list that will be used to name storms over the next 12 months has been decided. And Barra is with me. I mean, first things first, naming storms to begin with. I mean, it's not a really important part of forecasting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to 2015, so this is 10 years. And research carried out after we have storms by the Met Office with members of the public constantly shows that it raises the level of awareness surrounding the dangers of these storms, and it gives people a chance to then to prepare themselves, prepare their properties for any impending danger from these storms.
So let's talk about the list this year then. What's on the way?
Well, it ranges from Amy all the way to Wubu, and lots of people are getting in touch about that name. These names are in conjunction with the Irish, British and Dutch weather services. 50,000 names were chosen or sent in by the Republic. So this is the first time since we started naming storms that all the names have been suggestions from the public.
My eye is drawn to Bram, which will be the second storm of the season.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious one. This one relates to Bram Stoker, the Dublin author of Dracula. So he gets a mention this time, as does Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac and her song Dreams. Thunder always happens when it's raining.
We'll be in real trouble if we get as far as Stevie and Whoopi, though, don't we? It'll
rare.
be a real storm season if we get that far down the list. Barra, thank you very much. In fact, Barra Best, the only person I know who had an actual storm named after him.
Yeah, maybe next year for
2021. Well, we live in hope. Thank you very much. Barra, we'll come to you again for the forecast. Right now, though, Stephen is over there. You got the sport. Hello there.
I have, Declan. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, we start with the World Cup and women's rugby. 2 wins out of 2. It's going really well so far. Ireland have now clinched a place in the quarter-final stages of the competition in England. The latest victory, a hard-fought 43 points to 27 points victory over Spain. That means Ireland will next face current world champions New Zealand in their final pool game this Sunday, knowing their spot in the last 8 is already guaranteed. Nicola McCarthy reports.
It was a day where Ireland racked up 7 tries, dominating the first half with early scores.
Dalton with a voracious clean out. Now O'Brien, here is Flood, there is Costigan, that's the try.
And using the full width of the pitch and their dynamic wingers, a bonus point was secured before half-time.
Now this is Flood, over the top to McGann.
To be fair, they were only me dotting them down over the line after the forwards did their work. So I think if you look at that, and Lee on the other wing as well, it shows how dangerous we can be on both sides when we can attack as backs. So the forwards do the grunt work in the middle and we can perform and execute on the back. So yeah, no, it's been good.
Devastating hands.
The work we've done on our culture, it's immense, it's incredible. Like, we're more like sisters than we are best friends, so we know we're going to work hard for each other, and I think that's probably why you see it so much on the pitch, is because we're going to put our bodies on the line for each other. So yeah, it's just a really good connection we have at the moment.
So a quarter-final place secured and real tournament momentum before facing New Zealand in Brighton on Sunday.
She's gonna score!
What we've always done is not unduly go after the result, we'll go after the performance. We're starting to build belief. We've got evidence now, both from previous results and the level of training that we're able to get. We're putting points on the board. There's bits for us to get after this week, which hopefully makes us even more competitive next week against New Zealand. We want to keep growing our wave. We want to keep momentum going, and to do that, we've said we want to be competitive against World Cup contenders. New Zealand have earned the right to call themselves a World Cup contender. So we want to create some problems, and getting that game 100% right is absolutely right. But we can get some real momentum by going well and putting a performance in and creating a result against New Zealand.
Next, it's time to take on the world champions. Nicola McCarthy, BBC Newsline, Northampton.
Well, in football, it's been transfer deadline day, of course, and as the window closes tonight, the 18-year-old Linfield defender Matthew Orr has joined Nottingham Forest for an undisclosed fee on a 3-year deal. Now, there were just 3 matches in local football's Irish Premiership at the weekend. Cliftonville picked up their first victory of the season, while Glentoran remained top of the table after continuing their unbeaten start to the new campaign. But they were held to a draw with Carrick Rangers, as Thomas Niblock reports.
While it's not a major surprise Glentoran have set the pace to the new football season, the fact their opponents over the weekend are also unbeaten and sit second in the league certainly is. Carrick Rangers still unbeaten after a 1-1 draw at the Oval.
Glentoran are a very slick outfit. They've got good players, well coached, well managed football club, and they've got a great upward trajectory in what they're trying to do here. So you have to be pleased when you come to a venue like this and come away with a point. That'll be pleasing from our side.
It's disappointment. I think for all the possession you had, we needed probably a wee bit more of a cutting edge in final third, but you have to give credit to Carrick because he really defended the box brilliantly and had us on the counter-attack on a couple of occasions. But apart from their goal, I thought we were reasonably comfortable. But moving forward, if I was to look at it, I'd say, right, we need a bit more cutting edge because we have quality players in the final third. So all in all, look, we take our point, we move on. It's very early stages in the season, but I think we can be better than that with our final pass and our final ball.
Cliftonville picked up their first points of the season after a 3-1 win over Glenavon. Joe Gormley doing Joe Gormley things.
I'm delighted. We knew that Glenavon, despite the results, were going to come and play, and they did. And we knew that they're going to have every game's a challenge in the league. So we knew that they provide a huge challenge to us. We met that and scored at the right times, and yeah, delighted with 3 points.
3 points also picked up by Bangor, who continue their positive start to the new season. Life in the Irish Premiership seemed to suit them, and their top scorer, Ben Arthur's, the very best. Thomas Niblock, BBC Newsline.
And we'll have some international football news a little later. But first, ahead of this week's Irish Open at the K Club, golfer Shane Lowry was today named as one of the 6 wildcard picks by European captain Luke Donald for this month's Ryder Cup in New York. Now, Europe will have their least changed team in the competition's history. Rasmus Højgaard is the only new player from the side that beat the United States in 2023. Lowry, who was part of the European triumph in Rome 2 years ago, retains his place alongside the likes of fellow wildcards John Ram and Matt Fitzpatrick, and of course Rory McIlroy, who qualified automatically for the team. Lots more on the golf this week. I'll be live from the Irish Open tomorrow. Now, the Belfast Giants were beaten for the second time in Ice Hockey's Champions League at the weekend. It was a thrilling game against their finished opponents, Ilves. The Giants came from 3-2 down to lead 4-3 early in the final period in front of a crowd of over 6,000 at the SSE Arena. But 4 late goals by the visitors meant the Giants lost 7-4. Leaving their head coach with much to reflect on.
At this level of competition, you can't switch off. You got to be next to perfect defensively, and when I watch back those 3 or 4 goals, 4 goals I suppose there in the third period, is not a lot to like from us defensively on them, and I think that's down to us switching off, maybe due to fatigue, but. You got to fight through that stuff. You have to compete when you're up 4-3. You got to find ways to be really simple and close games out. And if you want to win a game in this competition, you got to be next to perfect, and you got to not switch off. And I think that our guys, at times, defensively, we were loose.
Now, the Belfast basketball player CJ Fulton says he wants to make the most of the opportunity he's been given after agreeing to sign a contract with NBA side Minnesota Timberwolves. The 23-year-old will return to the United States this month to link up with the team for pre-season before joining their development squad, the Iowa Wolves.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a developmental team for every NBA franchise has its own G League affiliate. You have two-way contracts, so guys that kind of go in between the NBA and the G League. You've got guys that are solely G League players, but they're kind of trying to make their way up to an NBA roster. So it's just a way of kind of keeping guys around the franchise, try and potentially see if they can work their way up to an NBA roster. But it's a really competitive league. A lot of guys coming out of college that are just kind of on the bubble of the NBA. So it's a great league. It'll be a tough challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, great chance for him. Now, finally, of course, it's a huge week of international football with Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland in World Cup qualifying action. Michael O'Neill's Northern Ireland squad are preparing for games with Luxembourg and Germany. And there's some breaking news tonight because Paul Smith will miss both of the qualifiers after he picked up an injury at the weekend playing for his club, Queen's Park Rangers. And Brad Lyons of Kilmarnock is now also a doubt. We will start all of our big game build-up tomorrow for matches which are live, Declan, on the BBC and on the iPlayer.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Stephen. Now, this was over Limavady today, and I'm told if you squint your eyes and tilt your head, you can just see a rainbow there in the clouds. But of course, for rainbows, you need rain.
Yeah, and there was plenty of it for quite a few of us today. It's been an unsettled start to autumn. Some hefty showers pushing across today and quite a brisk westerly wind. This was the radar picture today. You can see those showers firing across, and we still have some more out there this evening. The good news is it will begin to turn drier. Showers become more confined towards the north and the west. Some clear spells are expected tonight, and there is a chance we could spot the northern lights. So good luck with that. Head to dark areas away from light pollution, and let us know, of course, how you get on. Otherwise, temperatures tonight down to about 10 or 11 degrees. Now, the best part of tomorrow is going to be during the morning when we're expecting largely dry conditions before it turns a little bit more unsettled again. Some early sunshine as well. Before we see the showers popping up, the wind's not quite as strong tomorrow, so some of those showers could be slow moving, and they could also be heavy and possibly with a rumble of thunder too. Temperatures in the sunshine, though, still just above average for the time of year at 17 or 18 degrees, and many of the showers by the end of the day should begin to fizzle away. They will continue to die away tomorrow evening, turning drier for a time. Cloud pushes north, and then we begin to see our next area of unsettled weather coming in for Wednesday. Before then, temperatures tomorrow night, 12, maybe 13 degrees for some. Now, Wednesday, we're keeping an eye on this weather system. It is set to bring some rain. There's a degree of uncertainty about how much will actually push in to Northern Ireland, but for the time being, it looks as though eastern areas will bear the brunt of the rain. The first thing on Wednesday, drier in the west. That detail could change, so do stay tuned to the forecast if you can. But for the time being, a few showers perhaps in the west, and temperatures in and around 15 or 16 degrees. Once that's out of the way, high pressure looks set to build for this weekend, settling things down quite nicely. And by the time we get into Friday, cloudy but mainly dry, with some sunnier weather too heading our way into Saturday and for a time on Sunday.
Bar, thank you very much. And that is BBC Newsline for the 1st of September 2025. Thanks for watching. We'll update you again here on BBC One at 10:35, of course. But for now, from Bar, myself and the rest of the team, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.